The number one question that I get every single week is real estate a good investment right now? Should I be buying real estate? What should I be doing? I'm seeing what's going on. I'm reading the papers. I'm looking online, and it looks like real estate's slowing down. Well, guess what? It is. Real estate is slowing down. Why? Well, because it gets more expensive. The price of real estate has gotten so high, and a lot of people think it's gotten so high because there's so much demand, which is part of the equation. The demand has been huge. Since the pandemic, people have done a lot of moving. They've moved out of urban areas out there into the country to get away from things. They've upgraded their houses because now they're working at home. Things have changed. The world has changed. We've gone mobile. Home offices are the new thing, and it's pretty freaking cool, isn't it? We now, as business owners, can find talent that we never could find before in our backyard because we can go to the entire United States. Hell, we can go to the entire world and find good talent because today, good help, good employees, good executives, good CEOs, CFOs can live anywhere. We are now in the world of remote. So what does that all mean? That means the price of real estate has gone up because a lot of people changing, buying new homes. When interest rates were pulled to zero by the Fed during the pandemic, it made money really cheap. Think about it. How much could you have gotten a 30-year mortgage for just 1 or 2 years ago? I think the low was down under 2% for a short while, but under 2%. Imagine that. And we got really used to these low interest rates. We got really used to car loans at 0%. We got really used to mortgage payments that were really affordable for expensive houses. When you could only afford a $500,000 house pre-pandemic, now after the pandemic, well, hell, same dollars get me an $800,000 house. That's really what happened. So people wanted to upgrade, but we got too comfortable. We got thinking this is never going to end. We even got thinking that our cars will actually be worth more money after we drive them for a year or two. We literally could go in and put an order in for a car. When that car was finally ready for delivery, we could sell that car for more money, and people believe that actually is sustainable. They actually think this is the new norm. Oh my goodness gracious. We got some work to do here, folks. We got a lot of work to do because this is about what's going to happen. Sorry about the cheesy sound effects, but you know what? Interest rates going up, the Fed unwinding their balance sheet, sucking $95 billion out of the capital markets every single month. It is going to slow things down. You're seeing it already. How your 401k statement's looking? Probably not so good. Didn't mean to poke the bruise, but I'm trying to wake you up. Things are a bit scary right now. How is the house price, or how is the price of your house looking right now? Is it more than what you paid, or is it less? Because if you just bought a house last year, I got some bad news for you. Your house probably, or very well, could be worth less than it was last year. Looking forward, if they keep raising interest rates and doing what they're doing, which they absolutely will until they get to their target of 3% inflation, they will continue to do this. When a house is at the price that it is today, because housing pricing is really high, largely because of demand, millennials, people moving, but also institutions like BlackRock, Blackstone, and all the hedge funds out there that have been going from Wall Street to Main Street. They've taken all their money from Wall Street. They've shifted it over to Main Street. What is Main Street? Your neighbor's house, the house across the street, hell, the entire development, all those new condos being built, all those new apartments being built. You know, a lot of them, they're not individuals. They are hedge funds, because Main Street right now looks a hell of a lot better than Wall Street does for big institutions. So when they're buying houses, they can pay a lot more than you can. So when they were making offers 20% over ask, 30% over ask, other people can't compete with that, but an institution can, because that's just a balance sheet item. Not going to get into the details, but that's not real. That's not sustainable. You can't fight that. You definitely can't go up against BlackRock or Blackstone, because they'll wipe you out. They'll pay more just to say that they can. And it doesn't matter. So the price of real estate is really high right now, but people could afford that when interest rates were really low. Now interest rates doubled, and soon will go even higher. We're over 6% on a 30-year mortgage right now. Over 6%. A year ago, we were 3%. Do you know what that means? That means that the same house you could afford last year, you no longer can afford this year. That's reality, folks. So one of two things has to happen. That person that can't afford to buy a house at the median home price over $400,000 right now, they can't afford to buy a house. So what are they going to do? They're going to rent. So what did you just see in the CPI numbers? You saw the price of housing going up. This has been being talked about in the inner circles, in the economist world. They've been talking a lot about one of the big concerns is the cost of living going up. Cost of living going up is largely driven by the number one cost, which is housing. What is housing? Apartments, rentals, double digits. That's what it's gone up. And it will continue to go north because there will be more demand than there are apartments. So what does that mean? That's option number one. People can't buy a house. So does that put pressure on the price of housing going up? Absolutely. It has to come down. So in order for that person that could afford a house last year that can't now, the price of the house either needs to come down or they need to rent. And eventually, if you study history, specifically 2006, 7, 8, 9, let's just go back to the Great Recession. I'll tell you what will happen. The price of housing is coming down. We right now have a house, a beautiful house that we've rented for 3 years on the market. We had it on the market for $299. We live in Buffalo. It's a beautiful house in downtown Williamsville, one of the most desirable areas. We just got an offer, and we're probably going to accept between $265 and $270. That's a big drop from $300,000. You see, right before they started raising interest rates, $300, we would have got $320. The first offer we got on that house was over $300, and now it's $260. So what does that tell you? You might say, oh, it's just your house. You must not have a nice house. Oh, it's a beautiful house. There's pressure, folks. That pressure that I just explained is people can only afford so much house because interest rates have raised the cost of that mortgage, meaning the house price has to come down to meet the demand. The demand is still there, but the price of the housing is out of line for the demand. And so you're going to start seeing one of two things. You're going to see the cost going up, so the price must come down. It's simple mathematics, folks. So when you're thinking, is real estate a good investment right now? I gave you a couple big golden nuggets in what I just said. So let's dive into those gold nuggets. We know the price of housing is going to come down. For some of you that own housing right now, that's an alarming thing, especially if you're in a flip and you're like, oh my God, I didn't have much room. I'm going to be losing money. Well, you very well may. So time to giddy up and go. If you're looking at flipping into the future, you want to flip, you better either be buying the house significantly discounted. I mean, significantly. Throw out everything you've been using for the last couple of years, rewrite your pro formas, rewrite your script on how much you're paying for properties, because what you were paying last year isn't going to make sense this year. For all the wholesalers out there, this could be one of the biggest opportunities of your life, but you're going to go through a capitulation period. What does that mean? It's going to sting a little. Because as the pricing comes down, the inventory that you've got under contract may not fetch the price that you need. Because we've gotten so used to just paying whatever for the house because we can get more on the market. Well, the institutions, even the hedge funds, are starting to pull back. Some of them have stopped buying altogether. So wholesalers are getting nervous right now. It's getting harder and harder for them to make the money they need to support the operations they've created because things were so good. And we sort of forgot that wasn't the norm. You see, everything that's happened in the last few years, we've gotten used to. We start thinking, wow, this is just how things are going to be. The same thing happened in 2006 and 7. Oh, wow, things are so good. They're just going to keep going like this until they don't. We already know what happened in 2008. Many of the people I know in real estate went bankrupt, lost everything. Some of the people in real estate, on the other hand, became extremely wealthy. What was the difference between the ones that went bankrupt and the ones that were wealthy? Well, it's quite simple. The ones that got wealthy during the last Great Recession were the ones that were ready for it. The ones that were patient, the ones that had resources, the ones that weren't all in right before the bottom fell out. Well, let me ask you now, are you all in? Is all your money at work? Or is all your money in properties that aren't done that you're hoping to sell for a higher price? Because that's a problem and you're probably screwed. And I don't mean to be a jerk about it. I'm being real. Sometimes we need to take the emotion out of things, folks. And we use pure logic, because pure logic will tell you right now, things are not going to continue to go up. And if you understand that, that opens up the second opportunity window, because when things start to come down, if you know how to play this game, you will wait, you will get very strategic, you will take advantage of the people that thought that the thing was going to keep going up, because they will need to dump, they will need to take losses, and you will be there with the resources to take advantage of that. Listen, that doesn't sound nice, but you know what? Warren Buffett said, when there's blood in the streets, time to be greedy. But when others are greedy, it's time to be fearful. Right now, there's still too much greed. There's still too much hope. There's still too much speculation. But when that gives way to fear coming to a theater near you, when fear strikes, that's your time.